25 wins. 29 losses. That is not some forgotten guard on a lottery team. That is Michael Jordan's playoff record after 6 full NBA seasons. A losing record, owned by the player most of the planet calls the greatest ever to touch a basketball. 6 years. 5 playoff series won, 6 lost, 0 rings. And inside that same window, Michael Jordan had already led the league in scoring 3 times, already dropped 63 points on the Celtics in the most sacred building in the sport, already collected an MVP trophy and a Defensive Player of the Year trophy in the same 12 months. Best player alive. Losing record in May. So how does a losing playoff ledger become 6-0 in the finals with 6 finals MVPs and not one Game 7 ever played? Something had to die first. Not a person. A version. One Michael Jordan could not win a championship. The next Michael Jordan could not lose one, and that second version exists only because the first was hunted down and executed on purpose. Every tribute video sells the highlight. Nobody opens the file on the murder. So pull the file. Tonight the GOAT debate becomes an audit, every claim tested, every weakness charged, every myth cross-examined, including the ones that hurt. Start with receipts, because the case for Michael Jordan does not begin with vibes. The case begins with arithmetic violent enough to stop opposing arguments from breathing. Michael Jordan scored 50 or more points in a playoff game 8 times. Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, LeBron James and Wilt Chamberlain, added together, do not reach 8. For legends, one shared total, Michael Jordan alone above the pile. Michael Jordan owns the most 40-point playoff games in league history. More than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Allen Iverson, Stephen Curry and Dwayne Wade combined. Not more than the best of that group, more than those 4 stacked on top of each other. Then the line that should be tattooed on this argument forever. In the entire history of the sport, exactly one player finished a career with more 40-point games than games under 20 points. Only Michael Jordan. A bad night for Michael Jordan looked like a career night for a rotation player. 28 game-winning shots. 7 in the playoffs. Ask a 1996 locker room who takes the final shot and the answer lands instantly. Then the half of the file casual fans never read, because scoring gets the poster and defense gets the paperwork. 9 first-team all-defense selections, the most ever recorded. All-time blocks leader among guards, swatting shots like an undersized center with a grudge. 6 seasons with 200 or more steals, a number nobody now approaches. One more exhibit. In 1989 Chicago lost the starting point guard, so coach Doug Collins handed the offense to a shooting guard as an experiment. Michael Jordan answered with 10 triple-doubles in 11 games, 30 points, 11 assists, 9.5 rebounds, while learning a position on the job. 13 consecutive playoff series averaging over 30 points a game. 6 rings, 5 MVPs, 6-0 in the finals. Case closed, right? Not even close. Because that same file contains the charges. Michael Jordan led the league in field goal attempts 9 times in 13 Chicago seasons. 9. Early on, Michael Jordan hunted shots out of double and triple teams while open teammates waved from the weak side like stranded travelers. There were ugly playoff games. There were teammates who found the practice gym unbearable, because being coached by Michael Jordan resembled interrogation. Hold both facts at once. The most gifted scorer the sport ever produced was also, for 6 years, part of the reason Chicago kept going home early. Uncomfortable. Also the plot. Rewind to the genetics. Michael Jordan was supposed to be short. Nobody in the Jordan family stood taller than 5 feet 9 inches. As a high school sophomore, Michael Jordan measured 5 feet 11 inches and got cut from the varsity roster, the most famous cut in sports, and yes, the story is true. But the Jordan bloodline carried something rarer than height. Older brother Larry Jordan stood 5 feet 8 inches and could dunk a basketball. Elite Spring lived in that family long before elite size did. Then the growth spurt arrived, unannounced, pushing Michael Jordan to 6 feet 6 inches. Suddenly the leaping came attached to length, and a cut sophomore became a problem with no solution. By the end of high school, 27 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. Still unfinished, though. 2 varsity seasons is not a craft. So the freshman arriving at North Carolina averaged a modest 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, third option behind James Worthy and Sam Perkins. Handling, footwork, confidence, raw. Then came 1982. National Championship game. Georgetown. Patrick Ewing under the rim. A freshman rises from the left wing and buries the shot that decides a title. Michael Jordan later called that possession the single biggest turning point of an entire career. Not for the trophy, for what the shot rewrote internally. In Michael Jordan's own framing, that night turned the name from Mike to Michael Jordan, and delivered the confidence required to start excelling at basketball. Read that again. The most confident competitor in sports history had to be handed confidence. Manufactured, in one possession, at 19 years old. 2 seasons under Dean Smith turned raw into complete. 20 points a game, consensus first-team All-American, and in 1984, National College Player of the Year. And yet the college file alone did not project a summit. Plenty of legends arrived with louder amateur careers: Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Bill Walton, Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson, David Thompson, Pete Maravich. The 1980s belonged to big men. So the 1984 draft went Hakeem Olajuwon, Sam Bowie, then Michael Jordan. Third. Behind 2 centers. The public reasoning was comically small, only 6 feet 6 inches, so how much can a player that size really do? 2 practices. That is how long the doubt survived, before the Chicago head coach called the general manager to say the draft had finally not been botched. And the mentality behind those practices explains everything after. Michael Jordan walked into a professional gym as a rookie with one objective: identify the leader of the team, then attack that person. Not with words, no seniority, no voice. With play. Only with play. 3 games to crack 30 points. 9 games to crack 40. Inside a month the league understood the draft order had been an accounting error. Olajuwon looked like a star. Michael Jordan looked like a supernova. Because nobody in the sport moved like that. One step and a defender was obsolete. Every drive looked like a fighter jet using quickness as a runway before takeoff. Defenders jumped at the same instant, then gravity collected those defenders on schedule while Michael Jordan stayed up there, unbothered. Asked about adjusting from college to the pros, the answer was almost bored: pretty easy. Pretty easy. Ask the 1985 Eastern Conference how easy. By 1986 Michael Jordan was voted an All-Star after playing 3 games all season, sidelined by an ankle injury, voted in on reputation alone. Then the 1986 playoffs delivered the outlier of outliers. Boston Garden, against the greatest team of that era, 63 points, a playoff record. Larry Bird produced the eulogy that outlived the box score. That performance was not Michael Jordan out there, that was God disguised as Michael Jordan. 1987, 37 points a game across a full season, still the 5th best scoring campaign ever recorded, trailing only Wilt Chamberlain's science fiction 60s. 1988, 35 points on 54% shooting, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, first MVP. Plus 3.2 steals and 1.6 blocks a game, delivering Defensive Player of the Year in the same season, one of only 5 humans ever to win both in one year. Add the 1988 dunk contest duel with Dominique Wilkins, still argued as the finest ever staged, and the whisper spread that the best player anybody had seen was walking around Chicago. None of that mattered. Not to Michael Jordan. Because the trophies kept arriving and the season kept ending. Through 3 seasons, Michael Jordan won exactly 1 playoff game while being the best player on the floor, and was miserable, corrosively miserable, surrounded by fame, hardware, and losing. Then general manager Jerry Krause drafted Horace Grant and traded for Scottie Pippen, and the timeline split. 1988, first 50-win Chicago season since 1974, first round conquered over Cleveland with Michael Jordan averaging an absurd 45 points a game. Round 2, Detroit, deeper and meaner, closing the Bulls out 4-1. 1989, the first legendary dagger, the possession remembered simply as the shot, Cleveland eliminated, Craig Ello hanging in the air forever. Past the Knicks. Then Detroit again. 1990, scoring title, steals title, Detroit again. 3 consecutive years. Same wall. Same bruises. And this is where the audit gets uncomfortable, because the critics of that era were not wrong. The media questioned whether Michael Jordan could truly play team basketball or was simply farming statistics, and the tape offers those critics cover. In 1989 the assist number peaked at 8 per game, so the passing existed, reactive, though, not creative. Magic Johnson manipulated defenders with eyes. Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic bait coverages into mistakes. Michael Jordan surrendered the ball only after confirming a teammate stood wide open, usually for a dunk, because Michael Jordan bent defenses like a black hole bends light. Here is the charge that ends every lazy debate: despite those scoring totals, the 1980 Chicago offense was merely average. And the best offensive season of that decade came in 1986, the year Michael Jordan missed 80% of the schedule injured. Sit in that number. The scoring machine was not yet a winning machine. So the old version got killed in 3 deliberate strikes. Strike 1, Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson dragged the offense into the top 5 for the first time in 1990. Pippen pushing in transition created space Michael Jordan had never been granted, and finally supplied a teammate worth trusting on repeat. Pippen mattered even more on defense, wingspan like a fishing net, agility to cover 2 assignments in 1 possession, freeing Michael Jordan to roam like a free safety, ambush passing lanes, and stop burning fuel on the opponent's best scorer. Strike 2, after Detroit, Michael Jordan went to the weight room. That sounds mundane now and was borderline heretical then. Look at 80s rosters. Lean everywhere, muscle almost nowhere. So the 1991 model arrived still supernaturally quick, still able to contort mid-flight, now strong enough to absorb contact and bully smaller defenders instead of being bullied by bigger ones. Strike 3, Phil Jackson and Tex Winter installed the triangle, cutting into open space, playmaking from the post, optimized spacing. Michael Jordan no longer had to fetch the ball 85 feet out and manufacture something from nothing. The ball arrived closer to the rim, in punishing position, against mismatched defenders. Quickness, strength, system, trust. The old Michael Jordan was now legally dead. 1991, second MVP, best offense in the league, and a postseason that read like a receipt for 6 years of pain. Sweep the Nets. 5 past Philadelphia. Then Detroit, and this time the sweep ran the other direction, the Pistons walking off before the final buzzer of Game 4 rather than shake hands. Chicago had amputated the losing mentality. Then the finals, Magic Johnson, and a Los Angeles win in Game 1 suggesting 5-time champions still owned the hierarchy. Phil Jackson's counter, put Pippen on Magic Johnson. Series flipped. Game 2 produced the switch hands mid-air layup that still opens montages today. 4 straight wins. First ring. Playoff line that spring, 31 points, 8.5 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 2.5 steals, 1.5 blocks, on a career-best 56% shooting. 1992, another scoring title, another MVP, first team all-defense, franchise record 67 wins. Portland in the finals, and a media narrative claiming Clyde Drexler was the superior player because Michael Jordan supposedly could not shoot from distance. The rebuttal took 1 half, 6 3-pointers, 35 first-half points, both finals records, and a shrug to the broadcast table that said everything words could not. Series in 6, 36 a game. 1993, empty tank after the Dream Team summer. Chicago less dominant, Michael Jordan still taking a 7th straight scoring title and leading the league in steals. 3rd straight finals, against MVP Charles Barkley and Phoenix, and that MVP vote had privately enraged Michael Jordan, because Barkley collected the trophy while people argued Barkley might simply be better. Phoenix refused to fold, stealing games 3 and 5 in Chicago, and would have taken game 4 if not for 55 points, the second highest scoring game in finals history. Barkley's confession afterward is the most honest sentence any rival offered. Being outplayed like that felt like meeting a better basketball player for the first time in life. Game 6, Phoenix leading late, Chicago clinging. Everybody expected one thing, Michael Jordan, ball, final shot, closing argument. And Michael Jordan gave the ball up early. John Paxson, wide open, three-pointer, three-peat. That possession is the verdict of this entire audit. The 1988 version of Michael Jordan fires into a triple team and possibly converts anyway, because miracles were routine. The 1993 version reads the coverage, refuses the hero tax, and hands a title to a teammate. Finals averages that year, 41 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 51% shooting, 40% from 3. And statistically that was not even the peak series. 1 month after the champagne, Michael Jordan's father was killed. The love for the game got put on hold, and the retirement that followed lasted 18 months. Michael Jordan's accounting of grief was disarmingly simple: 32 years with a father, 32 years of teaching, an opportunity few children ever receive. Minor league baseball. Bus rides. Then the itch returned, and Michael Jordan issued the most economical press release in sports history. 2 words. I'm back. 5th game after the comeback, 55 points against New York, the double nickel. But the audit demands honesty here too. That season delivered a career-low 41% from the field, because 18 months away takes a bite out of divine talent. Practice is not optional, not even for gods. 1995, 2nd round, Orlando. Michael Jordan averaged 31 points on 48% shooting. Chicago still lost, not from rust alone, but because Horace Grant now wore a Magic jersey beside a young Shaquille O'Neal, and Orlando was bigger and deeper in the paint. Basketball remains a team sport, and even inside the greatest career ever assembled, that law never bent. Management understood the diagnosis. In came Dennis Rodman, the finest rebounder and fiercest defender available. Steve Kerr had arrived a year earlier, the most accurate three-point shooter in history. Add attack dog Ron Harper and the most versatile power forward in the league, Tony Kukoc, and Michael Jordan commanded the deepest arsenal in basketball. 1996, only the second team ever to lead the league in both offensive and defensive rating, with a plus 13.4 net rating still standing as the best ever recorded. 72 wins, 10 losses. MVP number 4 for Michael Jordan at 30 points a night. Only Seattle offered resistance, where Gary Payton became the first defender to genuinely slow Michael Jordan down. Chicago won Ring 4, and the locker room afterward held a champion sobbing on the floor, because this was the first title won without a father watching, a father Michael Jordan called a voice of reason, a challenger, a friend. 1997, 69 wins, 2 losses across 3 playoff rounds, then Utah, Stockton and Malone. The flu game, food poisoning, fever, Game 5 with the series tied, and 38 points squeezed from a body with no business standing. Chicago won 90-88. Then Game 6, final possession, and Michael Jordan trusted Steve Kerr. Kerr buried the shot. 1998, fumes. Pippen injured and feuding with management, Rodman more reckless than ever, efficiency slipping, athleticism fading. 62 wins anyway. 5th MVP for Michael Jordan. A 7-game war with Indiana. Then Utah again, in a finals so suffocating neither team reached 100 points. Final possession. Brian Russell. The most famous jump shot in the history of the sport. 6 championships in 8 years, 6 finals MVPs, a book closing on the perfect page. So run the career like an auditor, not a fan. Part 1, 1984 through 1990, the most electrifying athlete the league had ever housed, beating defenders with pure speed, and losing, because the roster was thin and the trust thinner. Part 2, the first three-peat, slightly slower, dramatically stronger, master of footwork and the post turnaround, the shot repaired, teammates finally trusted. Part 3, the second three-peat, 72, 69 and 62 wins, 3 rings, 13 losses across 12 playoff series. Each third would qualify as a Hall of Fame resume standing alone. And the honest comparison, since the audit promised no favors. Michael Jordan was the best player on the planet for over a decade, a claim only 3 other names support: Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James. Kareem's accolades sit close, yet Kareem was not the best player on a championship team for 3 of those rings, finishing with 2 finals MVPs against 6. Wilt's 60s scoring stays untouchable, including by Michael Jordan, yet Wilt collected 2 titles while Bill Russell collected the rest. LeBron James may be the most complete player ever built and is the statistical king by volume and longevity. For titles, 6 finals defeats, including a 2011 collapse against Dallas. That last category is the one Michael Jordan never entered. No finals loss. No Game 7 in the finals. No series where the best player vanished. That is the audit, line by line. So how good was Michael Jordan actually? Good enough that the worst chapter of the career still produced 31 points a night in a playoff series. Good enough that losing a step mattered as much as a Ferrari surrendering 100 horsepower, still faster than nearly everything else on the road. The only season Michael Jordan was arguably not the best player in the world was the rookie year, and even that is arguable. 6 for 6 in the finals. 6 finals MVPs, 9 first-team all-defense selections. The most 40-point playoff games ever recorded. And a global footprint that turned a regional American league into a planetary religion. The verdict on this file reads the same way always, only now with receipts attached: greatness was not handed to Michael Jordan. Greatness was built by killing the version of Michael Jordan that could not win. Now the follow-up question, and the one worth arguing in the comments: was that transformation Michael Jordan's doing, or was Scottie Pippen the surgeon who performed the operation? Because the case for Pippen is stronger than most fans are ready to admit, and there is a video waiting right here that lays out every piece of the case.